Hello, Savilla Morgan here. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's show. Before we get started, I would like to thank my sponsors and my supporters. A great big thank you to Morgan Air Conditioning, sales, service, and installation, proudly serving Tampa, Florida, and the surrounding areas. For assistance with your air conditioning needs, call Morgan Air at 813-500-7765. That's 813-500-7765. Thank you so much, Morgan Air, for seeing the vision and being a part of it. It is appreciated. Next, I would like to thank Alba Digital Media, audio production, web hosting, and web design. Alba Digital Media created my website and they produce my podcast. Visit Alba Digital Media at www.albadigitalmedia.com for assistance with media and production needs. That's www.albadigitalmedia.com. Thank you so much for Alba Digital Media for making me look good and sound good. I would also like to thank the owner of Edinburgh Dusters for assisting me with quality graphic assistance for my website and other social media content. It is greatly appreciated. Finally, I would like to thank the musical duo Devoted for creating my theme music. Contact Devoted at devotedministries@gmail.com for your music needs. That's devotedministries@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Devoted, for the beautiful music. I absolutely love it, and I'm sure the listeners do as well. Thank you for all your great work. If you would like information on becoming a one-time or ongoing sponsor, feel free to contact me at sevilla@sevillamorgan.com. That's sevilla@sevillamorgan.com. And for more information on my sponsors and supporters, go to my website, www.childlessnotbychoice.net. That's www.childlessnotbychoice.net. Scroll down to the very bottom, and you will see the links to my sponsors and supporters. Thanks again for listening, and now on to the show. Hello everyone, Savilla Morgan here. Welcome back to 21st Century Hannah, where my mission is to recognize and speak to the broken hearts of childless, not by choice women around the world. I'm spreading the great news that we can live a joyful, relevant, and fulfilled life, regardless of the fact that we could not have children. Thanks for sitting with me for just a little while once again. It is always appreciated. Well, with this episode, I sat wondering what I should talk about this time around. And I decided that I would read a story. In fact, it's a story that will become a part of a compilation of other women's stories, in particular women who are childless not by choice. One woman is going to be putting together a compilation of our stories and turning that into a book. And I was honored to be asked to be a part of that group of women. So I thought about maybe reading my story here. And there may be some changes. This may not be the final draft, but I decided that what I had so far I really liked, and I really hope that it will help some woman out there, even just one woman, maybe recognize herself in the story and realize that she can come through, go through, get through what she's going through and come out the other side. And as I said in the beginning, fulfilled, feeling relevance and feeling joy, even though she did not have the children she desired. So let me read my story. And as usual, as I always ask, please feel free to tell me what you think. Leave me a review, leave me a message. If there's anything that you would like me to discuss, In any future episodes, feel free to let me know. And as you know, also, you can check out my show notes for information on how to reach me. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after I read my story. So check this out. This really is my story. When I was a little girl, I had several dolls, but there was one whose name I remember to this day. Her name was Nancy. I loved her because she was one of those 3-foot tall dolls that when you held up her hand, she walked with you. She was olive skinned with jet black hair, brown eyes, and she had bangs. Nancy was my little girl. I loved changing my doll babies' clothes and combing their hair. I did it, like most other little girls, just knowing I would someday have children of my own. As I made my way into my teens, I thought to myself, I don't know if I want to have kids. They seem like a lot of work. I definitely didn't want to be a teen mom like some of my friends and classmates had become. I'm sure it also had something to do with my parents advising that a teen pregnancy would be frowned upon in their household. I did not want to go there. So I made a plan. I would get married at 25 and then wait a year or two before having a child. In my early 20s, my brother had his first child. I fell in love. My biggest issue was it's a boy. Boys' clothes are boring. But I gathered myself and decided that I was so in love with him that I would figure out how to shop for boys' clothes. 4 years later, my second nephew was born. By then, I had the boy clothes shopping down to a science. I was actually enjoying myself in the boys' department. Yes, I would take a sneak peek at the pretty frilly girl clothes, but I was there for the boy stuff. My second nephew was and is such a cutie pie. I was in love for the second time. Those people were and are my life. It was also around that time that I started going to the OBGYN doctor to see what was going on. It was the beginning of, well, the end. A few years later, my third nephew was born. Yes, I was in love once again. I was now buying clothes at least 6 times a year. Birthdays and Christmas were definitely fun times for me in the boys section of my favorite department stores. And I loved the opportunity to go shopping for these people. I called them my three musketeers. They were and are the loves of my life. But while they were growing up, I was battling the dreaded fibroids while trying to be in the right place at the right time to meet Mr. Right. At one point, I thought I had met him. We dated for 2.5 years before he advised me he had no intentions of getting married again. So I dumped him, post haste. I was brokenhearted, but to this day I stand by my decision. I dated but never met Mr. Right. No, the answer is no, for those of you who wonder if I scared men away with my desperation. I had no desperation. In fact, maybe it was the opposite of desperation. I believe maybe even nonchalance. At any rate, the fact is, it never happened. But while it was never happening, I was internally remaining hopeful by having one, and then two, and then three myomectomies, fibroid removal surgeries. I even had a more non-invasive surgery where a robot was used. Instead of the bikini cut, the robot went into my belly and my belly button. The unfortunate thing with that surgery was that after 4 hours, they brought me back out, only to tell me they never did get to the fibroids. They had spent 4 hours muddling through scar tissue. I believe of all of the surgeries, that was the most depressing one. That was the one when I realized for the first time that my dreams of having a baby would probably not be taking place. No husband, no babies. I just could not imagine purposely raising a child by myself, which was why I had waited, trying to buy time. I used to look back and wonder if I made the right decision. I wondered if I could have raised a baby on my own. I don't look back anymore. Looking back keeps me from looking forward. Life is too short to look back. If I kept looking back, I could turn around one day and realize there was nothing to look forward to because I had come to the end of my life and found I dwelled on what did not happen. That was not the life I wanted to live. I wanted to live my best, most relevant, and joyful life ever. And I wanted other childless, not by choice women who, like myself, really had no one to talk to realize they too could come out from inside of themselves, from their hurting hearts, and realize they could live whatever life they wanted. They did not have to live anyone else's life. They could really have a schedule where if they wanted to sit home and do nothing, no one would be allowed to make them feel guilty. I wanted childless, not by choice women to feel empowered in a world where we, were generally misunderstood, judged, ignored, or even shamed. Shamed into feeling that they should be over their childlessness in a timely fashion. Today, 4 years after my 11-year battle, I battle the waves too. The waves of sadness that come and go like the waves of the ocean I love so much. But my childlessness no longer rules my life. I cannot afford to allow a life event to dictate the rest of my life. Life is too short. The sadness of childlessness, an unfulfilled dream, an unfulfilled expectation can come in waves 10, 20, 30 years later. But I have made it my mission to help childless, not by choice women worldwide to remember how beautiful and whole and worthy they are. We are. Well, that's the end of that story for this moment because my story, as far as I know, continues on. But that's what I'm thinking of turning in. And, you know, I know I've told my story before. I've told it several times, several ways before, but somehow writing it down and turning it in to become a part of a compilation, I don't know, it's something's changed or different or something else is happening. And I feel like, honestly, I am going through a sort of metamorphosis. And I think it's a good metamorphosis. Yes, as I said in the story, I do have my moments, like I believe most childless, not by choice women do, that the feelings come and go like the waves of the ocean. And no, we can't control the waves of the ocean. God controls that. You can go to the ocean any day, anytime, day or night, 365 days of the year, and you'll notice one thing about the ocean. It's a consistent movement of the waves coming into shore and going back out. That's the nature of the ocean. And that may be the nature of the feelings that we as women who wanted but could not have children will have. But unlike the ocean, I believe we can control those waves. I believe the way we control those waves is to recognize and realize that when they come in, when the sadness comes in, we have a choice as to how we want to deal with that sadness. We don't have a choice with how we want to deal with the ocean, but we can deal with our sadness. We can make the decision to recognize the sadness for what it is, but continue on with the lives that we have been given. Continue on by helping others, as I always say. Continue on by taking good care of ourselves and not allowing others to speak negativity into our lives. So, yes, we do have a choice. We have a story and we have a choice. I hope that if you're listening to this story now, my story, especially as a first-time listener, that has helped you the way that I hope it will help the woman reading the stories in this compilation of stories that we're turning into this wonderful woman. And I hope that if you are a repeat listener, I think somehow you're going through a metamorphosis as well. And I hope that maybe we can go through that metamorphosis together. And at the end of it, as a butterfly comes out of its cocoon, we'll realize and recognize and see just how beautiful we are. That we are just as beautiful as women who have children, as mothers. We just have a different type of mothering to do. So, those of you who are repeat listeners, thanks for coming back. If you are a new listener, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I am humbled by both types of listeners because I know that there are so many other podcasts out there you can be listening to and so many other things that you can be doing. But you took the time to stop by and sit with me a while, and I truly do appreciate that. Remember, if you want to get in contact with me, email me at sevilla@sevillamorgan.com or find me on Twitter at Sevilla1. Instagram, I have two Instagram accounts. Just search for Sevilla Morgan. One Instagram is at Sevilla1. The other one is Joy and Relevance. That one is actually dedicated to the Childless Not by Choice community. I'm also, of course, on Facebook, Sevilla Morgan. I'm on Google Plus. So all of the major social media platforms, I'm there. Feel free to reach out to me. Tell me what you want to hear more of, more about. If you are interested in being interviewed, I would love to interview you. We, of course, have to chat first because I want to make sure that what we discuss in this airspace, in this airtime, is something that would be relevant and helpful to the childless not by choice community. And remember, if you are in the Central Florida area, I do have a meetup. It's the Central Florida Childless Not by Choice meetup. So I'm out there on social media, pretty much all over social media. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you want to leave any reviews. Of course, leave me a review in iTunes, everything. If you don't quite know how to get to iTunes, you don't want to go to iTunes in particular, maybe you don't have access to iTunes, remember my website, childlessnotbychoice.net. That's childlessnotbychoice.net. If you go there and you click on the podcast tab, that'll take you to all of my podcast episodes. And if you look below each episode, there's a way to leave a review, and that includes an iTunes review. If you click on the iTunes tab, that'll take you right to iTunes and you can leave a review that way. I try to make things as easy and as simple as possible. If you feel like there's something that's keeping you from maybe not listening more often, or you feel like you're not having the access you would like, feel free to let me know. I don't always get to see or hear everything because there may be people in different countries. You may be listening in a different way. And so just let me know. And so if you don't have iTunes, but maybe you have an Android device, you can listen through Stitcher. And I know I probably don't mention Stitcher often enough, but yes, Stitcher, iTunes, my website. You can listen on just about any podcast platform that's available out there on your smartphone. Overcast. Some people use Overcast. Some people use Podbean to listen to their podcast episodes. Some people use SoundCloud. and YouTube. I use all of those things. So if you can't find me one way, look another way. You'll find me, trust me. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And, I really appreciate, as I said, everyone who stops by to listen. I think I'm in like the 40th episode now, 40, 41, 42, something like that. And July was my 1 year anniversary. And so I'm getting into the groove of things now. A new episode comes out the second and fourth Monday of every month. So really getting into a groove and really here for the long haul. I really am. I really feel like this is my platform. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I have some brand new things coming out. I was actually interviewed by a wonderful lady today, a blogger, and I talked to her about some things that I had not really discussed before, and I'm going to talk about these things in future episodes because I feel like there's a way for those of us who are childless not by choice to make a particular contribution to society without moving out of our seats. And so I'm going to discuss some of those things in future episodes. So be on the lookout. Thanks again for listening. Tell your friends, tell your family. And until next time, have a wonderful life. I'm thinking about you. Have a great one. Bye.